okay, to episode 1 to 4, my fascinating Renaissance friends. Okay, well, before the taping, we were giggling like anything. So we were actually talking about, you see, this is a husband team. This is a husband wife team. I am in front of the cameras, and my husband is behind the cameras, doing the taping. So in between, he would make faces with me, and things like that, and I would giggle. Anyway, so uh, all right, the principles of long-lasting love. Okay, in episodes 120 and 121, we talked about the builders of love. Okay, the builders of long-lasting, relationship. In celebration of our 42nd anniversary, and I decided that we will be what celebrating it, the whole month of September, or at least the first 5 episodes of September. And we are really looking at we've looked at the 5 builders of long-lasting relationship, and then juxtapose, compare it with the 5 destroyers of love. And now we will attempt, to extract from these, 5 plus 5, insights into long-lasting relationship, into principles that we can actually follow, that can actually guide us, in making our own, personal relationships really last forever. A lot of friends are asking me, is there a forever, Miss Malu? I said yes and no. I said yes, there is a forever on planet Earth, meaning you can make your love last as long as you live on planet Earth. But and so that will be a yes. Okay, a no, because after your life on planet Earth, there will be no relationship. But there is a forever, eternal life. Okay, individually with our Creator after death. Okay, you can see that I subscribe to the Judeo-Christian, Judeo-Christian faith. All right, based on my statement. Okay, okay. Let's see. How do we, put this together? All right. So we got, I got the essence of the top 5 destroyers and the top 5 builders, and really turned it into principles. Okay, guiding principles. Okay, let me share with you the first 5 in this episode, and 6 to 10 will be next episode, and that would wind up, the special tribute, okay, to our 42nd years together. And we will be back to regular programming. Okay, so principle number 1 will be presence over destruction. That means be fully present. Okay, presence is actually love's greatest gift. It is really the gift of being there for that person. That nothing else matters. Not even our latest, phone model can really take their place. So which means we have to guard, the intrusion of our devices, okay, into our intimate life together. Okay, be present for the other person. Okay, so the second principle is responsiveness over withdrawal. Okay, what does it mean? We need to make our partner feel. So the focus is on feel. Okay, feel seen, heard, okay, and appreciated. Now, how do we do this, really? Ever heard of the Five Languages of Love by Gary Chapman? If not, I suggest you buy that book or just Google it. Or maybe now it's not Google it, maybe Grok for it or Chat GPT it. Okay. All right. The Five Languages of Love by Gary Chapman. Love language simply means how actions that the person interpret as being loved. Okay, so there are five. Let me see. Let me see if I remember them all. Five is the most most common for us because we both have the same love language. It's physical touch. Now, it's not always making love and having sex. No, it's not always that. It could be an eye contact, a loving look. It could be it could be a hug. It could be holding hands. It could be just staying close to each other. In fact, that's how we do it. Where we are in the room, in the bedroom. He watches his own show on his iPhone, on his phone, and I also watch a different show on my cell phone. Okay, but we're together. We snuggle close to each other, or we will be holding hands. But looking at different screens. Because physical touch is our love language. Okay, and that's easy because he feels loved if I do physical touch with him, and the same thing with me. So he doesn't even have to think what's my, love language, because it may be his, but I may have a different love language, and so he has to switch. In our case, no. The second is time. Okay, giving time for each other. Time for each other, time to talk, time to go out, etc. And then there's also giving gifts to each other, small tokens. I go out most of the time, out of town from my workshops. And, every time I see something, in the Philippines, we call it pasalubong. Pasalubong means little tokens from the place you came from, and you bring it home as a remembrance, as a token that you remember him or her while you were gone. The fourth is acts of service. You help each other with the household chores. You share with that, okay? And we do that. I do the cooking. He does the dishes. I buy stuff. And then he puts it. He decorates the home because it's the artistic one. Things like that. What's fifth one? Oh, affirmative words. Words to affirm, meaning, oh, this is also our tertiary, love language. We appreciate each other in words. We always say thank you. We always say I love you. We always say I appreciate that, no matter how little that thing is. Okay. I guess that's what it means. Make your partner feel seen, respond with words, with touch, with attention. Never let silence or dismissal become the default. Okay? So, principle number 3, teamwork over blame. Teamwork over blame. So, say, face stress as a team, as a couple, because life will always test you. I remember what my husband mentioned in one of our talks with a young couple trying to navigate married life. And well, he mentioned a metaphor. Says marriage is like riding in the same boat. Okay, and you will row together in unison. Okay, because if the boat capsizes, both of you drown. So you really can say, go your way, I go my way. It cannot, because it will cause the boat to capsize, and you are going to be hurt together. So it's not one over the other. I like that metaphor really because it's true. It's really true. Okay? So that's teamwork over blame, especially stress. Okay? Principle number four, dialogue over criticism. Dialogue over criticism. It means talk, especially about what matters, whether it's intimacy, whether it's money, whether it's dreams, whether it's potential conflict, whether even the little things which irritate us. Just talk about it. It doesn't mean that you will always agree. Okay, you can agree to disagree, but at least you talked. Okay, you can come up with compromises. Okay, and principle number five, conflicts. Repair over rupture, which means conflicts will come. They will come because you're two different individuals, two different personalities. You will never always agree. Okay? The question is, do you repair? Quick apologies, okay? And then the humility to reset, I'd like to stop here because I'd like to tell you one wonderful trait that my husband always demonstrates. Even our friends are shocked to hear it. And he would always say this statement, okay? Regardless of whether it's my fault or Malu's fault, I will always be the one, to apologize first and make it right. Okay, because mending the relationship doesn't make me less of a man. Because again, especially in Philippine culture, I don't know if this is a Philippine culture, if it's the culture of toxic masculinity, if they call it. Like, even it is always the other party's fault. Men never apologize. That's how my dad, was. He will show lots of ways, to tell my mom he was sorry, but he will never say the word, forgive me. I apologize. I'm sorry, for hurting you. Never. Because for him, it's being less of a man. My husband is the exact opposite. I told you in the previous episode, I told my dad straight, you are the best father in the world. I know you love me, but I will never marry a man like you. I don't want a husband like you in that regard because of that machismo thing in our culture. So he would always say, it doesn't really matter if I'm the one humble enough to ask for forgiveness and to ask for an apology, even if it's not my fault, because it doesn't make me less of a man. Because what I want is, our life together to be harmonious because life is too short to even be silent and not talking to each other even for a day. Okay? So, maybe that's one of the major reasons why we're still together for 42 years. And mind you, we keep on telling our friends, marriage is not to be endured. Marriage is not to be endured. It must be enjoyed. And truly, long-lasting committed relationships can be enjoyed and not simply endured. Okay, stay tuned for the next episode because I will talk about the last six principles of long lasting love. Again, if any one of these resonates with you, okay, engage with me in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until then, my fascinating Renaissance friends, this is Malu Cervantes, my season of life, saying sayonara.